Good morning, students. How are you? I am Francis sir, and today we will be studying Standard 6 Chemistry. And as you see, that this is the sixth chapter. Okay, sixth chapter, and the chapter's name is Changes Around Us. Okay, so when we talk of change, what is change? For instance, let me take this. This is a chalk. Its shape is like this. It is cylindrical in shape, its length is this much. If I break it into two, there is the change in its shape. There is a change in its size. So there can be various types of change. And initially, when a substance is in a different condition, and after a certain type of process, the condition or the status or the something of it has changed, and finally, then that thing has to be called a change. So there are different type of changes that are observed. For example, that can be change in position, shape or size. Sometimes there is change in color also. Yes, there are sometimes change in physical state. When you boil water, what happens is that when you boil water, it changes from a liquid state to it gaseous state. There is change in temperature. You heat something, heat water, it becomes hot. Yes, the composition. Yes, sometimes the composition also changes. Composition also changes. For example, if you say milk, yes, if you talk about milk, what it is, you boil the milk, you see that on top there comes out the cream. Now since that cream is separated, that milk has now lesser amount of cream present in it now. Why? Because some portion has been removed because of heating. So there are different types, and sometimes composition also changes, and sometimes the structure also changes. Okay, so these are the different type of changes that you generally or we generally observe. So let us find out, or let us see what are the various causes of changes. Every change has a cause. Without cause, there cannot be any change. Okay, so uh, there are some of the ways to bring about change, and the ways to bring about change are: number one, by mixing. Number one is by mixing. Second one by applying force, and the third one is by heating, and the fourth one by mixing and heating. So both of means all these are the four conditions by which we can bring about change. For example, for by mixing, there's pure water you take and add a bit of lemon juice in it. So what becomes that the flavor which was tasteless before, it becomes a bit of a lemonade type of taste. If you add a bit of sugar in it, it becomes lemon sharbat. No, so that is what mixing brings about a certain type of change. Something changes, whether the flavor, whether the taste, whether the appearance, anything of it, what happens, changes. By applying force, as I told you about this chalk, I applied force, and what happened, it broke into two, so its shape or the size changed. So whenever you apply force, there is some type of change that happens. It is not always there will be change in the shape or size. Sometimes when you apply force, what happens is that the heat energy is also produced. For example, you might have got some thrashing from your parents or anybody, so when you got that thrashing, you might have felt that warmth, the place where you got. So that, sometimes, that force, it generates yet increase in temperature also. Okay, then we have heating. Heating, yes, heating is a very common thing by which we can bring about the change. It changes the temperature of an object. It changes the physical state of the object. It can change the color of an object. For example, if you might have seen the ironsmith, blacksmith, the one who makes different substances out of iron, when they put that heat the iron, so what happens is that it first when it changes from normal color to red, slowly it changes to bright red, and when it is very hot, it almost becomes violet. It produces a violet type of color. So but it is the same iron, no, but you see there has been some change because of heating. So there is one more process, and that is by mixing and heating. For example, we mix tea with milk and sugar. What becomes? It is not milk now. It has changed now. Now it is what? Now it is tea. So when you add tea leaves, milk and what? Sugar, it becomes tea. So this is mixing and heating brings about more of changes. So these are some of the methods by which we can bring about change. Okay. Now I will look at the types of changes. There are various types of changes that are available. It depends upon us how do we want to classify them. Okay, but basically they can be classified into four types. The first type is reversible and irreversible, two types. Okay, and the second change is physical change and chemical change. The reversible and irreversible changes. There are some type of changes, like if you evaporate water, you can condense the water vapor back to water. So you can get the original substance back. You can get the original substance back. So the type of changes in which only physical properties change. Yes, only physical properties change, and the original substance can be regained. Original substance can be regained. That type of change are called reversible change. Whereas the type of changes in which the original substance cannot be obtained, the type of change in which the original substance cannot be obtained. For example, I told you about mixing of tea, milk, and sugar. Can we get back the milk? No. So this is an irreversible change. Can we get back the tea? No, because this is an irreversible change. So the original substances cannot be regained. Such type of processes in which some type of change in which the original substance from which the new substance was formed cannot be obtained. In that case, the change can be said to be as irreversible change. Okay. Now, in physical change and chemical change are also something like reversible, but they are a bit of different. Physical change is a type of change in which physical characteristics change, but no new substance is formed. For example, this is a chalk. I broke it. It is its physical character, shape, size has changed, but it is still a chalk. Yes, it is still a chalk. I will take a piece of paper and I tear it. Okay, I tear it. Now I cannot join it again in the same way as it was, but it is still a paper and this is still a paper. So when no new substances are formed in a process, the type of change in which no new substance is formed, the original substance still remains there. That type of change is called what? A physical change. Whereas a chemical change is a change in which a totally new substance is formed. A totally new substance is formed, and obviously if a totally new substance is formed, we cannot regain regain the original substance. For example, if you burn any substance, burning is the best example. Can you combine the smoke that has been produced and the ash that has been left over again to form the same thing again? If it were so, we would not have required to dig more and more coal from the earth or petrol. We can collect that petrol, we can collect all that things, ash, and we combine them together and again get coal and again get petrol. But this is impossible because they are chemical change. These processes are irreversible. The smoke formed is what? It is a totally new substance. The ash formed is totally a new substance. So from these substances we cannot regain the original substance by simple physical methods. So these are the different type of changes that are present. Okay, so I hope that this chapter is done with this. Okay, if you have any doubt, please let me know, and go through the chapter, go through the exercise, and try to complete all the works that are possible. Okay, with this we end up the video. See you in the next one.